record option. So I'm hoping, yes, it looks like you're recording now,
There
Jeremy.
we go. We're good to go.
Excellent stuff.
Outstanding.
Well, that was pain-free. Okay, so yeah, as I say, this is a safe environment for coaching. It's private, it's confidential, it's going to be challenging at times with some of the questions that I do ask you.
Okay.
And if you find me repeating questions at times, it's maybe because I want you to dig a little deeper and see where we can go with that. So I make no apologies for repeating questions at times. Throughout our session, I will be taking some notes. And so if you see me sort of like my head down like this, it's because I'm taking notes, Jeremy. I haven't stopped listening to you. I haven't sort of like got distracted. It's just, unfortunately, I don't have the ability to write and not look where I'm writing. It would end up all over the table.
I hear you on that.
I used to have a colleague who was very good at doing it, and I just used to be just amazed how she could remain in perfect eye contact with me and still just be scribing away there. Unfortunately, I don't have that skill. It's something I need to work on a little.
Mine would look like hieroglyphics. So
yeah, I'm with you on that one. Okay, so firstly, Jeremy, I'd just like to know what made you choose to participate in TLDP and choose the coaching option?
Well, I'll tell you what, when I was a kid, my grandfather always said, never pass up on opportunity. And I was at the first Optavia introduction of Helen and immediately was just like, I said to myself, this will be the next level of Optavia because of her. And she said leather trousers. And I mean, you put those two together and you have a winning combo. And and on a serious note though, when this opportunity was presented, I knew I had to jump on it. Coaches always make you better. I've had coaches my entire life through sports. Whatever activity in life that I was doing that I wanted to better myself in, I've had a coach. So it only made sense to have a coach for this and take advantage of every opportunity that's presented. So, it's funny. I was talking over with my wife because we have 3 kids and, I said, this is a great investment. And she agreed. And she said, you look nervous. And I said, I am. And she said, why are you nervous? I said, because this is like the deal maker, I said, it's going to up my level in every area, but it's also going to stretch me in every area too. So it's going to tear me out of comfort zones. It's not going to just pull me out. It's going to tear me out. Yes. And through I've never been a journaler. And so in the first couple of weeks of journaling, it's funny how I've seen my journaling go from very, let's just say kind of like bland, to all of a sudden, by the 4th, 5th, 6th time of journaling on a question to getting so much deeper. So you already see how it's awakening, I guess the fears that are buried deep inside the belly.
Yes,
which
definitely.
Is cool.
And the journaling is absolutely key to the success of this program.
Mm-hmm.
You'll hear Helen talking about journaling a hell of a lot, and it's because it is so important with those neural pathways, weakening the old ones, strengthening the new, the repetition. It's so important to the success of this program. So just to really summarize, I mean, you saw a fantastic opportunity. You could see how this was going to be such a huge advantage to you, and you decided to just, basically take the bull by the horns and go for it.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Okay, so moving on to my role as your coach. My role is to support you and your development as a transformational leader. And as I said, this means I'm going to be asking you a lot of questions. The questions I ask you are going to be all relevant questions to do with the behavioral change that you require to become the leader that you want to be. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. So where I'm going to start off is I've mentioned the future and the future you. So what I'd like to know is what future is so compelling to you that it is worth transforming the way you lead?
The freedom to be with my children as they grow up.
Excellent. And is there anything else?
My dad's name is Stu.
Oh, fantastic.
You know, I want to be present in their lives. I currently work down in Manhattan, which is 70 miles north of where I live. And I'm gone for 12, 13 hours a day. And I see them in the morning quickly, and I see them in the evening for a half hour, and that's it during the weekdays. And I'm missing out on everything. You know, you name it, even as simple as a school drop off, a bus stop. You know, I have a I have a vision board very different from many others. It's a school bus and a dinner table, because I don't see the school bus and I don't see the dinner table with them except for on weekends. And that's my driving factor right there. Everything outside of that is wonderful, but that's what's most important to me.
Excellent. And that's fantastic motivation for this program. I mean, having 3 children, it's all the motivation you need. Family. I totally get it. I totally get it. So, what foundational behavioral changes for you are going to make this possible?
I think consistency, number one, in all of my actions across the board, Monday through Sunday. I had the tendency to maybe slow down on the weekends, maybe during the week. You know, if things are going well in the business, pull back a little bit because I have other things to take care of in life. So really just being fully consistent day after day after day and going after it is going to be a big change for me. But also leading leaders, you know, helping create and lead leaders is going to be big.
Yes. And are these changes that you've started to put into practice already?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And you know, it in the last 3 weeks, I feel like I've accomplished more than since January, I should say. You know, maybe it's just psychological, I don't know, but I've just every morning woken up, and every morning I've started saying before my feet hit the floor, who am I going to serve today? Who am I going to serve today? And when I walk to my car to drive to the train station, who am I going to serve today? Who am I going to serve today? So that's been a constant theme these last few weeks, and it's really just propelled me to go way outside the box, whereas I wouldn't have offered what we have to offer to just anybody. I would kind of be a little more specific in my brain, thinking that, well, maybe this person will be good, this person won't be, and that's too judgmental of me. So I've thrown judgment aside and just been offering to everyone across the board.
Excellent. And have you found any of these changes that you've started to make? Have you found any challenges in making those changes?
Well, of course, fear is always an underlying factor for everything. So fear of failure. But the one good thing that I've always been good at is, and this is probably in the last 10 years, is really to stop caring what people think about me. So if I embarrass myself, well, I've done that a million times.
Yeah.
If I look like a fool, well, guess what? I've done that a million times too. So I'm kind of accustomed to that now. And then I kind of take that out of the equation. Like, well, if you go up to this person, chat with them, and you sound like a big dodo, well, you've been there, you know? So it's, but something kept on holding me back from that. And then literally in the last 3 weeks, I've just, so what? Move on then. If someone, thinks that way of you, good, that's fine. Move on. There's people who need our help.
Excellent. I think that's a great way of looking at it. It's inspirational what you've just said there. It's fantastic. And I'm guessing that there's things that you've heard on the program so far that have empowered you to make this decision and do these things. Is there anything particular so far on your course and your journey that you would say has empowered you to do this and make these changes?
Oh, geez, I have so many pages of notes. I'll find the ones that I highlighted. I like a lot of the things, like the conscious, the unconscious, the external stimulations.
Yeah.
What is happening versus what I make it mean. Interpretation was so huge. I really read that over about 50 times so that it would really sink in with me, because, you know, that's certainly, interpretation's everything,
Yes.
you know, and in a world of texting, interpretation could be so far different than if you hear a voice. So that was a big thing. I love the inner game, practices the program, uh, pause and permission to create.
Yes.
That really hit me. Um, and then I love this too. I don't yet know how. I only know now. And when she first said that, I was like, what? And then I read it again, and I'm like, I don't yet know how. I only know now. And then I was like, no, that makes so much sense, because, you know, we know what we want. We know where we want to go. We know where we're at. We've got to fill in that gap then. And that's what this whole thing is about, is filling in the gap with the coaching. So there's just been a lot. And there's been so much new stuff, neuroplasticity.
Oh, yeah.
I went home and told my wife about that. It's like, hon, I learned a new word. It's called neuroplasticity. She's a school psychologist. She was very impressed by me.
Oh, wow.
And then I love, confidence is not arrogance. It isn't walking into a room thinking you are there for everyone else. It's walking in and not having to compare yourself to anyone at all. And that was the biggest one for me.
Yes.
You know,
massive, absolutely massive one. That was a massive one for me in my journey. That so I can fully relate to that, Jeremy. And you've obviously got an increased awareness now of everything that this program is offering to you. How do you think this increased awareness is going to help you with these changes you've got to make?
Well, it's nothing that I've been thinking of, you know, previous. That they weren't ideas in my head. They weren't lessons, quote unquote, that I was working on. Just journaling alone, like I said, you know, has helped immensely. And journaling was nothing that I did. A long time ago, I did something similar. There's a doctor named Dr. John Sarno, and he wrote a book called, it was something about back pain. And I had gone to 3 doctors to have my shoulder reconstructed. And I was listening to, of all things, Howard Stern. And he had read this book, Healing Back Pain by Dr. John Sarno, and I read it. And basically, Sarno said to list twice a day all of your stresses, good and bad. And all it was doing was bringing your stresses from the unconscious to the conscious. And once it gets to the conscious, it kind of disappears. And I will, needless to say, 12 years later, I still haven't had shoulder surgery because I haven't had any pains in the shoulder. When I feel stressed, I have pains in the shoulder. So then I do my listing again. So it was so freeing to, when I started journaling, to equate to that, like, wow, look at that, you know, all of my hidden fears I'm now bringing up out of my gut to you know, they don't seem as big. They seem easier to conquer now. You know, there's a path. I have a plan. Well, I'm in the beginnings of a plan. So that's been powerful.
Excellent. That's superb. Great stuff there, Jeremy. Thank you for sharing that with me.
Yeah.
And so looking at your future self, how are you getting on with your relationship with your future self? Have you started to tune into yourself yet? That's
kind of been, I know what I want. I know where I want to be, but that's kind of been the whole thing. It's been harder for me to tune into my future self, because I don't really know. I know he's going to be stoked when I'm there. I know that he's going to be a very compassionate leader, but I haven't really figured it out yet. No, so I'm kind of having a little bit of trouble bridging that gap of that idea.
Right. And what do you think it is that's causing you the trouble to bridge that gap, as you put it?
That's what I can't figure out. You know, and it's funny because in the journaling, you know, that was one of our questions. My future self. Hold on. See, the one it was the if I think and feel as my future self. You know, my answers were, I don't know that maybe I'm answering right. I'm answering like, you know, I know people are going to be served. I know people are being helped. You know, I know that people are being led, people are being freed, but that one's been my hardest journaling so far. And maybe I don't get it fully. I don't know.
Right. Are you able to visualize your future self?
I am, and he's very relaxed.
Excellent.
And he's at home on his porch doing his work there.
Excellent. And have you had any success in, it might sound strange, but you know, have any success in talking to your future self, or your future self talking to you?
Well, no, I haven't. That's where I'm kind of like stuck. Like, I don't know. I think my future self will be very helpful with people like myself.
Yes.
You
and
know,
your future self can also be helpful to you.
Yes. And I have all the confidence of getting to my future self. I didn't have confidence in the past. I think it was a lot of I hope, I would like, not I'm going to be, you know? So that was a major shift for me to start saying it's going to happen. It's a definite, you know, the future self is going to happen. But talking backwards has kind of been maybe the sticking point for me.
Yeah,
I'm a little stuck there. So that's something I've been working on.
Yes, and I think it's something you really do need to focus on.
Yeah.
And keep chipping away at, because you can learn so much from yourself, and your future self is going to tell you what you need to focus on, and it's going to be pulling on your strengths. And once you build that relationship between your future self and where you are now, your future self will be pulling you to where he is, so that you can meet those goals. So it is so important to get in tune with that, and keep chipping away at it, keep your journaling going, and build that relationship. It's so important to build that relationship with your future self. So I think I want to get on to things we can concentrate on, or I'd like you to focus on over the next couple of weeks before our next meeting. I'll get onto that shortly, and I think that's something we want to definitely be thinking about there. Okay.
Well, I just have a quick question. So my future self, I've been visualizing myself as a fully present leader, fully present in what I'm doing and helping people, you know, get served, and, you know, someone who's able to hop on the phone. I'm not always able to hop on the phone at, you know, a moment's notice if someone needs me, because I have a job that I'm at right now, and stuff like that. So my future self, you know, I see myself being able to actually set schedules, like strong schedules with people, and being able to say yes and no to things without always having to just say yes to things because I'm of time restraints, and you know, and just always having to be like, yes, I can fit that in, somehow I'll fit that in, but having more control of my schedule, having more control of my life. You know, with 3 kids and a job and 8 million sports, you know, you're always on the run. I mean, I do a lot of things. I get off the train, I hop in my car driving to a practice, and I'm doing a coaching call while I'm in the car. And, you know, I know life will be messy, but it could be less messy. So I don't know if that's kind of on the point of the future self talking to myself now. That's where I'm kind of confused if maybe I am going in the right direction, but I just have no idea I am. You know,
well, I think you've hit on something really key there, and this might be something which you're already working on letting go of. I'm going to ask you a question now and see if we're going down the same path. So are you aware of any one thing in particular that is no longer serving you well?
I mean, time. having time isn't serving me well. You know, there's not a lot of white space in my life, so time freedom is not something that exists in my life.
Right. Yes, I can see that. And another thing I picked up on what you said earlier was how you have a tendency to say yes when I think. Well, you're telling me that you say yes, and I think your future self is saying that maybe you shouldn't be saying yes to everything and setting firmer schedules with appointments and things like that. Does that make sense?
100%.
So that is, to me, that is your future self screaming out at you and telling you, Jeremy, this is what we need to be doing. This is the future me.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm going to be doing in the future. So we need to start putting this into practice now. And I think the question you need to ask yourself is, what's the worst thing that could happen now if I started practicing that?
I like that. I'm just writing that down.
Yeah, no problem. I'll give you a minute just to jot that down. It's a very, very powerful question to ask yourself. That is, what is the worst that could happen?
Right.
And so often you look at these things which you perceive as barriers that are preventing you to get where you need to go.
Mm-hmm.
When in fact, you've just got to ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen?
Right.
So I do it. What's the worst that could happen? And when you actually look at it and get it out there in front of you, I think the answers will come to you.
No, I like that. Thank you very much.
Excellent. No problem at all. Now, Jeremy, I'm a little bit conscious of time. We've had a fantastic session so far. I think we're getting a lot of great stuff out here. So what I want us to start thinking about is, if you were to choose one thing that you would focus on for the next 2 weeks that will make the biggest difference to you, what would that be?
Offering our program to every single human who walks on the face of the earth.
Excellent. And how would that impact your effectiveness of being a leader?
Well, I would have a wider breadth of folks to lead, for sure. Instead of focusing on the ones who are currently in my organization, and some you feel like you have to drag through the mud, which I don't do anymore. I used to be oh, come on, you know what, this would be good for you, but if they don't want it, then why should I want it more than them? Which was a big kind of aha moment for me, to not waste my time with those who don't want.
Excellent. Great stuff. So what will you focus on between now and the next session we have together as a result of this conversation?
Well, I'm certainly going to focus on what's the worst thing that can happen now if I started practicing, saying no a few more times and not feeling like I'm disappointing the world if I do say no. That's definitely a guilt thing that I suffer through, that I'm trying to work on. Always being the yes man when there's only one of me to go around. So that's something for sure. And keeping with my journaling. Definitely.
I can't emphasize that enough. And it's good that you're on board with that, and you fully understand where it's taking you on this journey.
Yes.
So let's have a quick look at the time. Right. So we really do have a couple of minutes left, Jeremy. So until our next coaching session, you're going to concentrate on offering your program to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And if people don't want to come with you, then so be it.
Totally fine.
The next one. Let's just get this program out to as many people. That's what I'm picking up from you.
Mm-hmm.
And something else you're going to be working on is the what's the worst thing that can happen?
100%.
Ask yourself that question. When you're in these scenarios where you're thinking, what's stopping me from doing this, blah, blah, take yourself through the exercise, say to yourself, if I do it, what's the worst thing that can happen?
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're going to be absolutely amazed with the results and how you come on leaps and bounds just by asking yourself that question.
Absolutely.
Okay then, Jeremy. Well, I can clearly see you're dedicated to this program and becoming a more impactful leader.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're going to be successful in this, and I really look forward to actually seeing you in our next session.
Yeah, 100%.
Haircuts and beards. And that's really all there is from me today, Jeremy. As I say, really enjoyed this coaching session. I hope you've got as much from it as I have.
Yes.
And is there anything you'd like to add just before we sign off?
I'm chuffed for our experience.
Excellent.
All right.
I'm really glad I'm your coach, Jeremy, and look forward to catching up with you on the next session.
All right. Thank you so much, Stu. I appreciate it.
Take care now. Bye-bye.
Have a terrific day. Bye.
You too. Bye-bye.